It was an ordinary Wednesday afternoon. The city moved in its usual rhythm. Cars humming along, pedestrians crossing streets with earbuds in, the sun casting a golden haze over the sidewalks. On Maple Avenue, life was just as mundane, just as expected. The cafe was full of quiet chatter, traffic lights blinked lazily, and the bakery on the corner had its usual scent of fresh bread floating out into the street. Emma was a young mother, 28 years old, with tired eyes and a kind smile. She had just finished grocery shopping and was pushing her 9-month-old son, Noah, in a lightweight stroller. She had taken this route 100 times. Her hands were full, shopping bags in one, her phone in the other as she texted her husband about dinner. Her mind was distracted. She didn't notice that one of the stroller wheels had been wobbling since earlier in the day. As she paused just outside the bakery to check her messages, she did something many parents have done. She let go of the stroller for just a few seconds. A gentle gust of wind swept through the street at that exact moment. The stroller, seemingly on its own, began to roll. First slowly, then faster, gliding down the hill in front of her. Emma looked up, stunned, for a second too long, and then her body froze in terror. "Noah!" she screamed, dropping her phone and the shopping bags, sprinting forward, but the stroller had already picked up speed, bouncing slightly as it raced downhill, heading straight toward a busy intersection filled with honking cars and oblivious drivers. Across the street, sitting by a trash bin outside an abandoned building, was Tom. Tom had been homeless for the past 5 years. Once a construction worker, he'd lost his job, his savings, and eventually, his home after a work injury and a string of bad luck. Now, most people passed him without a glance. He was just that guy in the corner. Hood up, scruffy beard, a cart filled with old bottles and a blanket that smelled like rain. Children were warned to stay away from him. Store owners complained about him loitering. But Tom saw the stroller. And more importantly, he moved. In an instant, he was up. He dropped his cart and ran, not walked, ran into the street. His legs, stiff from sitting on concrete for hours, pushed harder than they had in years. Traffic screeched around him. Horns blared. A driver yelled out the window. But Tom didn't hear any of it. He focused on one thing, the baby in that stroller. In one heroic motion, just feet before the stroller would have launched into traffic, Tom lunged forward, grabbing the handle and twisting his body to stop its momentum. He fell onto the sidewalk, clutching the stroller with both arms. Noah was safe, crying, but untouched. Emma arrived seconds later, breathless, tears streaming down her face. "Oh my God! Oh my God!" she repeated, grabbing Noah and holding him close. Thank you. But then something awful happened. A voice behind them said, "Wait, what's he doing with the baby?" A second person added, "He tried to take the stroller." And before Emma could explain, a small crowd had already gathered, and panic was setting in. A man pulled out his phone to call the police. Another started filming. Tom stood up slowly, bewildered and scared. "No, He tried to speak, but someone shouted over him. He grabbed the kid. When the police arrived minutes later, Tom was surrounded. He had stepped away from the stroller to give it back, but now officers told him to put his hands up. Confused and overwhelmed, Tom obeyed without protest. They cuffed him on the spot, while onlookers muttered, "Of course it was the homeless guy." Emma tried to explain. She told them what happened, that he had saved her child. But her voice was shaky, and she was sobbing, and the officers weren't listening clearly. To them, it looked like a possible abduction attempt. And Tom, in dirty clothes and no ID, had no defense. "I didn't mean any harm," he mumbled, almost in a whisper. I saw the stroller rollin', and I ran. They didn't listen." He was taken to the station. Back at the bakery, one of the workers who had been watching everything ran outside. "There's a camera," he said. "We have footage." An officer returned, pulled the security tape, and watched. The room was silent as the video played. It clearly showed Emma letting go of the stroller, the gust of wind, and the stroller picking up speed. Then, from the other side of the road, Tom springing into action. There was no hesitation, no attempt to run.
No struggle.
Just one man saving a baby. The officers sat still for a moment. Then one of them slowly stood up and said, "We've made a mistake." Tom was released within the hour. Emma was waiting outside, tears in her eyes again. But this time, they were for a different reason. She hugged him, ignoring the judgmental glances from passers-by. "You saved my son's life," she said. "I'm so sorry for what happened." Later that night, the story aired on the local news. The headline read, "Homeless man saves baby. Falsely accused before CCTV clears him." People who once ignored Tom now paused to look at his face. Donations started coming in. A local businessman, who had also once struggled with homelessness in his youth, reached out to offer Tom a job and a place to stay. Tom didn't say much during the interview. Just one sentence: "I'd do it again, even if no one believed me." A month later, Tom started working as a janitor at the same bakery. He got his first clean haircut in years. The children who once avoided him now waved and smiled. Emma visited every week with Noah. And though the city hadn't changed much, something in the way people looked at Tom had. Because for once, they didn't see a homeless man. They saw a hero.